Welcome to Studio 44 and our show Underdogs. Super pumped today. I have Sarah Elyaman. Sarah,
everybody.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I'm excited because there's a lot of people that know you. There is. There is. Even if you don't realize it, there's a lot of people that know you, but do they really know you?
Unless they're some type of stalker, probably not.
Hopefully not to those levels. But I'm excited today because we get to know you a little bit better, know some of the things that you're into, but most of all, the journey. Like everybody looks at us and they make their own assumptions. They immediately say, you know what? She dresses nice. And drives a nice car, so immediately it was all handed to you.
Yeah, I do hear that quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, and there's no way to escape it unless we truly get a chance to connect like this and learn where do we come from. So let's go all the way back, okay?
All the way. Okay.
All the way back.
All right.
So tell us a little bit, where were you born, and let's go from there.
Yeah, so my parents actually immigrated here from Egypt, like it's over 30 years ago at this point. Ironically, everyone still asks me, when did you come to this country? I'm like, I was born in Tampa, Florida. But but when did you get here? I'm like, my mom's uterus technically birthed me in Tampa, Florida, right? And so I'm one of three kids. I'm the middle child, so I have an older brother and a younger sister, and I lived in Tampa till I was probably 18, and then I moved to Gainesville to attend the University of Florida for undergrad, and then I was there for law school and my master's as well, but Tampa, Florida is where it all started, and lots of love for Tampa.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've been to Tampa a few times, mostly around the Ybor area. I've had some amazing meals in Tampa.
Yes.
There's a lot to do there.
It definitely is a happening place, I will say. And especially, after, we've got a lot of sports teams going on. Well, let's not talk about the Bucks right now, but we did have a Super Bowl just come through, but it's definitely one of those situations that you can never be bored.
That's true.
That's for sure.
Listen, he had to retire sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard that he signed a bigger deal for broadcasting than he did for playing football.
I'd believe that. Yeah, that's totally believable.
Yeah. So being born in Tampa, right? And coming up here, attending the University of Florida, what was that like? What was the university like?
That was an amazing time. If I can get my son to go there, I'll be super thrilled, but I'm trying to not. He's 5, by the way, so we've got plenty of time. But if I can, but he's the type also, if I tell him to do it, he's going to not do it. So I'm going to stay quiet about it till he's about like 15. But it was just an amazing time. I was there at the tail end of the Tebow era. So there was just, it was a really great time in Florida sports history to be there. Whenever we would have great games, we wouldn't get any homework. It was great. But whenever we'd lose, they'd definitely pull the hammer down because everyone was pissed off. But it was a really great time. I made some of my best friends during that time, and I really got to know a lot about myself and figuring out what I wanted to do with my life, which is actually close, but not really to what I ended up doing. But it was just a really great time to find myself and grow up a little bit. Although when you're 18, 19, 20, you think you know everything, but let's be real, like you don't know anything. That comes with life and time. But it was an awesome just couple years getting, I ended up graduating a year early from college, but it was a great couple years for sure.
Now, graduating early, what sparked you, or what encouraged you to go that hard? And I mean, you had to do extra credits. You had to go to extra classes. What was that like?
I had this plan, that I was going to get to a certain point in my life before I turned a certain age. And I look at it now and it's funny. I talked to a 17-year-old who called me about what it was like to be an attorney, and so I can give her some advice. And I was looking back on my life, and don't get me wrong, I am super blessed to be where I am, and I'm very, very grateful to have accomplished what I have, at the age that I am right now. But I look back, honestly, Daniel, and my advice to, younger people is take the time and enjoy the ride, because I definitely went hard, and I've been rewarded for it. But, there's a little part of me that was like, you know what, I should have really enjoyed those years a little bit more than I did, because you don't get them back. When you get older, you realize that. But it's definitely something, like, I don't regret it, because I am in a really great position. But would I do it again that way? I'm not sure, if I'm being honest. But I graduated law school early. Actually, I graduated college early, and that's really how I was able to get to where I am at my current age. But I was motivated because I knew I had a purpose and I wanted to get there. And my purpose for me was serving people and figuring out a way that, I could help people, and telling their stories, not just that, but helping their families and helping them get to where they need to be. And I knew for me to do that, I had to just get to the point where I was able to. So I definitely pushed really hard through undergrad, through college, and then I did end up getting through my law school, and then my master's. And I was able to just jump right in right afterwards.
I find it interesting. So many people, and I'm just as guilty. Law of humor. I'm just as guilty of going too fast and not just taking a second to breathe and taking a second to really, really enjoy that moment.
100%. And that is literally what I tell, everybody, especially after graduating high school. Like this young girl asked me, like, okay, so what should I do before college? What should I do to prepare? I'm like, nothing. Enjoy it. You're never going to get that time to just enjoy it. And even till now, I definitely struggle with slowing down. Having a son definitely has forced me to slow down, because I also recognize that the days that I get with him, I don't get those forever, and I want to make sure that I'm utilizing it. So that's been a wake up call for me, since he was born. But I definitely am not the type I can't twiddle my thumbs. It's just not in my DNA. But I've had to learn to just, take some time and be intentional about taking a minute. Because I am very bad at that. And, it served me well in a lot of ways, but also being, who I am and what I do for a living, I get to talk to a lot of people end of life. And I've had a lot of very deep conversations with them. And the one theme that they say over and over and over is, Sarah, that you can't take anything with you. So, enjoy the days that you have them, because, once they're spent, you're not getting them back. So that's something that I've definitely learned to carry with me. And that's my advice for people coming up. Don't get me wrong. You have to be the hardest working person in the room to get to where you need to be. That's 100%. But you also need to learn to relax and to not burn yourself out in the process. When you're on, give it 110%. But when you're off, you're off. And that is something that I tell you till this day. I'm learning. I have better days than others. I actually, have to physically take all my electronics when I get home and put them somewhere that I can't access, so I can be intentional and be in the moment. So I'm not checking my email. I'm not on social media, and I'm just enjoying the time with my loved ones. But that's taken a lot of practice, let me tell you.
So it's ironic that we're talking about this, because just the other night I told my wife, I said, I am promising, and this wasn't even an issue. It's not like she brought it up and then I was like, okay, well, let me fix it. I was noticing that I'm on my phone too much. I already work, from 7 a.m. to sometimes 11 p.m. But when I'm at a normal work day from like 7 to 6 or 7 to 7, I will get home and still find myself vegging or doing little miniature work, stuff that really doesn't matter, that could wait till tomorrow, and I still engage in that phone or engage in the computer. And I told her the other night, I said, you know what? I'm promising you right now, by the time I get home, I'm probably going to need at least 1 hour to really wrap things up. After that 1 hour, no more technology. I mean, we can watch TV, but I'm saying me personally, I've got to disconnect a little bit. So since you've been doing that, what's the biggest change that you've noticed about the time you get to spend with your son?
You're mentally in it. And that's because when you have your electronics next to you, I can tell you, I'm constantly looking like what's going on. But you're not just physically there, you're mentally present. And that's actually not just benefited my relationship with him, but overall, when you give your brain a break, you're actually a lot more creative. When you go into the office the next day, you're a lot more rested. But when you're on constantly, there's just never a moment that you have to just recuperate and rejuvenate your brain, and everything suffers, not just your family relationship. I think we have, as a society, and I think this is something that if you look at other parts of the world, it's not a thing, but for whatever reason in our country it is. We glorify being overworked for some reason. I can tell you, if you go to a bar with a bunch of lawyers, they're all talking about, man, I just worked an 80-hour week, or I just did this, and it's almost like a badge of honor. And this is the culture that we're so ingrained with. But the honest truth of it, it's quite sad. We need to really try to figure out this work-life balance thing. Otherwise, I think just as a country, we're going to suffer. And I say that being somebody that truly has to be very intentional about it. Like I know with my team, which I am so blessed to work with, like an amazing group of people who give the 110% when they're in the office. But at 5 o'clock, I kick them out. I don't want them there. I want them to go home with their families. I don't want them working on the weekends unless we have to for whatever reason. But I know if I don't give them that and they're overworked and they're tired, they're not going to be productive at the office. They're not going to be productive at home. They're losing, meaning they're going to be unmotivated to get here. I'm not going to be motivated to be around them. It's just a complete circle of failure all around. So I know for me, I'm trying to be also a model for them that, we can have that work-life balance. Because for whatever reason, taking time off and doing the things that are completely normal everywhere else, it's not something that's prioritized in our country. And I think that's where a lot of health issues come from. That's where a lot of mental health illnesses come from. And it's just something that we have to start changing, and just internally within ourselves and our culture. Absolutely.
That's so good, because there are a lot of us that we feel like we just need to work. And I saw a timeline that showed your life, start to finish. And for the first 60 to 65 years, for most people, they work till they're 65, and then they start to, it's kind of hard to say enjoy, but you start to live your life from 65 to however long you have. And from birth, you have 18 years. You're in school. If you go to extended, if you go to university, 4 to 6 to 8 more. And then you're working from 21, 24 years old all the way to 65. And that gap in between is nothing but what you feel is hustle so that you can enjoy your life later. So I love when people talk about work-life balance, because I'm really bad at work-life balance. And I'm with you. I see it as a need.
Because we're taught that that's how it's supposed to be. There's like this indoctrination almost, and just the way that our culture is, that is normal. You're supposed to be tired all the time. You're supposed to want to have a vacation from your life. Actually, I just got back from a business leadership conference that I took some of my team members to. And there is this line that has been ingrained in my head since I got back from there. There's different lectures that we went to about servant leadership, which is something that's really near and dear to my heart. But one of the topics was on, I think it was like a mental health expert. And he said, the goal is to not cure anxiety, but to live a non-anxious life. Meaning that we shouldn't have a life that we're living that we need to constantly run away from. And I think for me, and especially wanting to teach my son that, and wanting to be a model for my own team, like I do believe that we can be successful and we still can prioritize our families and we can still prioritize our mental health. It's just about being intentional about it. And I could tell you that is not something that I have mastered. It's a constant daily struggle, and I'm constantly analyzing at the end of the day, you know, how I did with that. Because yeah, definitely I've managed my phone usage for sure. But I'm trying to make sure in the moment with people, whether it's my friends or my son or my parents, that I'm actually mentally present. I think we can be physically present all day long, but even if you don't have your phone in front of you, if you're constantly thinking about the problems that you have to deal with the next day, you're not mentally present. And that is something that I reaffirm and over in my head. Like, I know I have to get better at personally. And I think it's just one of those struggles that I know come along with being a business owner for sure. Because I have a lot of people that rely on me. And that's a lot of pressure sometimes. But I also know that if I don't do that, I'm not going to be the best version of myself for my business or for my family. So it's a struggle for sure. Yeah. But I think it's a worthwhile one.
What's interesting as business owners, and I'll kind of leave it at this, it's very easy for us to tell others how or what to do. And especially since we're looking out for them, we know it's in their best interest. And it is so hard to do it for ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I want to go back to the end of college. So you finish at the University of Florida. You've accomplished everything you need to do, and now you're moving into your career. What was the scariest thing about that transition?
Ooh, that's a good one. So after law school, I had to figure out now that I'm a grown up, right? I had to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. You know, I had student loans, and I just had to figure out what the next steps were going to be. How am I going to get to where I need to be? I did get a couple job offers from relatively big law firms, that were paying decent money. They were all, a couple hours away from Ocala. At the time I had just gotten married. We were settling in Ocala, so I just had to decide if that was a good idea to go back and forth. And I also knew I didn't want to be at a big firm. I think that was my strong aversion to it. Big law is great for a lot of people, but for me personally, the idea of getting paid good money and never seeing the light of day to spend it wasn't really it just wasn't in what I wanted to do. Especially I knew at some point I wanted to have a family. I wanted to have, kids, and just didn't seem to fit into the vision that I had for my long-term goals. So I remember thinking, well, I guess I could try to start my own thing. That might work. It might blow up in my face. I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens. And my husband at the time was very supportive of it, and we decided, okay, we're going to do that. Worst case scenario, I'll go ahead and get a job somewhere if it doesn't work. So I remember signing that lease in the Villages. That was our flagship location. And when we signed that lease and everyone was gone, I remember sitting on the floor of that office when it was really empty and thinking, what the heck did I just do? Like, this is a horrible idea. I just committed all this money. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, this is never going to work. And obviously I picked, the Villages, which I was, initially nervous about. It's like the most conservative location in our country. And and being somebody that's very proud of who I am and where I'm from, I was worried that, people would just have their preconceived notions of who I was and just never walk in the door. And I remember sitting on the floor, and I called a good family friend of mine at the time, and she said something to me that till this day I don't ever forget. And it was, if you're the best at what you do, they will come.
That's good.
And I was like, huh. And so I remember when we officially opened, I was like, oh my God, no one's coming. But within 6 months, we were, almost breaking even. And that was something that I never thought, I was just trying to cover our expenses at that point. Just let me pay the rent and you know, just what I need to do. And within a year, I mean, we had our first team member, and it was just me and him for a while. And then within 2.5 years, we had added 2 more. And then we outgrew the space that we were in, because I had rented just a very small office thinking like, this is all I'm going to need for a long time. But we ended up outgrowing that space and moving into another suite. And then we outgrew that space in about a year and moved to another suite. And that was all within about 3.5 years. And that was in our Villages location. And at the same time, we were getting a ton of people from like Crystal River, Citrus County, that were coming to the Villages to see us. How they found me, I have no idea. So we ended up actually opening a satellite office over there. And a year after that, we opened our Ocala location. So we had 3 locations going at the same time. And here I am thinking, I'm like, how is this going to work? What am I doing? How, you know, and for some reason, I just genuinely believe if you do the right thing and do good work, people just come. They tell their friends, and you know, you end up, I still to this day kind of pinch myself, because I feel so grateful and so fortunate to do what I do, and that people trust us, you know, with their families to do what we do. But people ask me like, how did you get here? And Daniel, till this day, like I have to pinch myself that it's actually real life, because I consider myself very blessed. But I also really do believe that if you take care of people and you do the right thing, business just comes to you. And you obviously have to work hard for it. You do have to be the hardest working person in the room. I always tell my team that it's not enough to just do a good job. We need to go above and beyond. And we have this saying in our office, we give unreasonable service. We do above and beyond to the point people think it's unreasonable. But I think that's what makes us different. And that's how we've been able to grow the way that we have is, you know, people have their expectations over here. I want to be up here. And we have our moments, we have ups and downs, but to have a amazing group of individuals that believe in the same thing you do, that believe in helping people, that believe in excelling at helping people. I am just so fortunate to go to work every day and to work with them, to work alongside with them, and to serve the people that come in our door. It's just how I got here, again, like a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. But it is a journey that I wouldn't have changed for anything. And I do genuinely believe that I wouldn't have gotten here alone without the team that I have behind me, for sure.
That's so good. There's a lot to be said there, especially when it comes to the team, the culture that you built. You know, of course it's scary. If it wasn't scary, it wouldn't be worth doing. But when you made that choice to go out on your own, you knew exactly what you wanted. You may not have even known how you were going to go get it, but I love that saying about being the best, and the business will come. I love it, because there's so many times that I feel that there's a ton of good people in this world, and I feel that even in the Villages, there's people that will give you a chance. And word of mouth travels like wildfire. I mean, good, bad, and indifferent. If you're doing amazing business, they're going to talk about you. If you're doing bad business, they're all going to talk about you. Mm-hmm. So I think it speaks volumes to the growth that you've experienced and moving into the 2 locations after. It just means that you're doing something right. Keep on doing it. So I love hearing that part of this journey.
I think part of, I can tell you, my personal success has been surrounding myself with people that are way smarter than me, because I do believe you're a product of who you interact with and who you give your limited time to, because they will push you to be the best version of yourself. You don't want to surround yourself with people that think mediocrity is okay, in my opinion, that is. I can even tell you with my team, each and every one of them, there's a skill set that they have that they are much better than me at. And I am so grateful for that. And that is a big reason why I've put them on our team. because I don't have to be the best at everything. I can tell you that. I need to recognize what I am good at and hire people for my weaknesses. And every single member of my team, there's something that they are amazing at that I can tell you that I'm not very good at. And that's why we all work very well together. Each one of them has a skill set, and we hire them for that skill set. But I even think in your personal life, for you to excel just within your personal, your professional, your family life, everything, surround yourself with people that are going to challenge you. You don't want people that are just going to tell you, yeah, it's fine. You want people that might, kind of make you angry sometimes because they're telling you something you don't want to hear, but you need to hear it. Because if you just have these parrots around you that are saying, yeah, you're wonderful, you're great, you're perfect, that's not going to get you much, anywhere really. You need somebody that's or friends or colleagues or mentors or people that are going to challenge your notions of where you are in your life and where you need to be, and really look out for your best interest, because that's what's going to propel you forward.
That's good. So we're at this level of success. Okay. We're not at the pinnacle of your success. We're at a level of your success. What's next? What is that next step, that next big level in your ultimate goal?
That is definitely the question. I could tell you that we are constantly perfecting the way that we serve our clients. We have a large part of our practice that we've introduced this year that we deal with transitional care. So basically, we help families in crisis who are about to lose everything figure out, how to keep their assets, how to make sure that they're able to care for their loved ones. But we take it the extra mile, and we really are holding their hands through that process. But I think something that is really near and dear in my heart is personally, in the next 5 years or so, I want to have a nonprofit organization that's attached to our firm, because I could just say, Ocala, these areas have been so good to me, and good to our team and our practice. And we've been fortunate to help thousands of people at this point. And it's given me a lot of opportunity to grow personally and professionally. And I feel like I need to give that back to our community at large. So we are looking at, developing a philanthropic wing to our practice. And that's something that, we're going to be working hard at developing in the next 5 years or so. My goal would be almost like a portion of every client proceeds that we get will go into a nonprofit that we then use to help our community. And that's, I believe, just a very important thing to remember, that part of your success is also helping lift up the people that haven't made it yet. Because when you start losing that purpose of why you're here and what you do, and that's something that I could tell you we talk about in our office all the time. Why are we here? Yes, we need to make money. Yes, we have families we need to support, but why are we here? What is the reason that you come into the office every day? Why do we serve the people that we serve? Why do we serve them in the manner that we serve them? And that's a conversation that we're constantly having about purpose. And I can tell you, within our mission statement, that also goes towards helping people who are, maybe don't have the means to get in front of us. So how can we reach those people, and how can we make sure that they're okay too? They may not ever walk in through our door because they can't afford our services, but we're looking to really expand our reach to figure out how we can make sure that, the underprivileged are served in that process too. So that's something that within the next 5 years, I do believe. So I want to make sure that we add something to our practice that we're giving back to the community that brought us here.
So we're done working. Okay. It's time for the time off, or the days off, or the vacation time. What do you do for fun?
So I am a major foodie. I love to cook and I love to eat. I love to feed people too. So there's constantly people in my house that I'm making food for. So that is something that when I get home, and if I've had a really stressful day, I will cook to de-stress. It's just a way to let the creative side of my brain do its thing. For fun, I love to try new restaurants and just different cuisines and different meals and things like that. I absolutely love to travel with my son and to go see new places, especially if we can do different cultures. I think it's important to, you know, broaden your horizons and meet people that look different and believe different things than you. I do think it makes, you know, you a better human. So traveling, eating, lots of eating. It's very hard for me to go to a place that I know doesn't have good food. But that's my big love in life, is to travel as much as I can and, you know, try as many new cuisines as I can. And I love to just cook for my loved ones, and we just hang out over a meal.
Love it. Travel and food. So we're going to do some rapid fire. Okay. As close as you can to a single word or a single statement. But we're going to try to tackle as many of these as we can.
Let's do it.
Favorite movie?
My Cousin Vinny.
That's a great movie. That's a great movie. Joe Pesci is on a different level.
That movie.
Very good. Favorite book?
Oof, my favorite book. Yeah, would I be super nerdy if I said the Harry Potter series?
No, but you'd probably gain some fans today. That's good.
That.
That's good. Favorite sports team in, let's go NFL.
You know I'm from Tampa, right?
I do.
So, I mean, we are going to have to say the Bucks there, for sure.
The Bucks regardless.
I can't.
Very good.
I'm loyal.
Very good. How about college team?
Are you really going to ask me that?
Yeah, I mean, you could be the other way. I don't know. There we go. There we go. There's your answer. For the people that are not watching on video.
Go Gators.
There we go. There's
Go
that chomp. I was going to say, if you want your son to go to UF, you may want to tell him to be a Seminole.
I trust me, I have already thought of all the mental jiu-jitsu that's going to require.
You just get him a shirt. I mean, I don't condone buying a FSU shirt, but maybe pick up one at a thrift shop.
Yes.
And then give him that one and be like, hey, you should go to this school.
Yep. I have already thought that through, man.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Favorite car?
Ooh. Well, my favorite car would be, I really like the Porsche 911. I would never drive it, though, because it's way too low to the ground. But I think it's pretty to look at.
They are beautiful cars.
Yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful cars. Favorite brand overall? Let's go luxury brand. Favorite luxury brand?
Chanel.
No
questions
Gotcha.
asked.
And why?
There is just something about it. Like, you know, it's just the aesthetics of it. It's very clean. It's not as common. And there's just, I just think they're pretty.
Very good. Favorite shoes?
My favorite shoes. So during the work day, I'm usually in some type of stiletto. I think I think they look professional, I guess. When I'm not at work, I'm usually in a pair of Sperry's, 100%.
Gotcha. Favorite place to travel?
Oof.
Let's go city first, and then we'll go country.
Chicago.
Okay.
For city. I think it's an awesome middle ground between New York and California. It's a city enough, and you have like the water aspect, and it's not as crowded, and it has good food. Country, the favorite country that I've been to at this point has been Turkey. Super good food as well. There's a theme here, right?
Yes.
And it's just that the people are super warm, super friendly, and it's just a really awesome country. I think the next place we'll probably visit will be Spain.
Spain.
Mm-hmm.
Some of my favorite F1 drivers and tennis players are from Spain, so very, very good. So favorite board game?
Monopoly.
That makes sense. That's good. That's good. There's good strategy there.
Absolutely.
Favorite childhood toy?
Oh, my favorite childhood toy. Trying to think.
You can go back as far as you need to. Like growing up, what did you play with the most?
My parents forced us to play outside. That's all I could think of. Like, all my best memories were made with my siblings playing outside.
Well, there we go. Favorite game that you played outside?
Kickball. As a kid. Yep.
It's a great game. Great game.
But you know, those little, I can't even remember what they're called now. Those little gadgets that used to be like pets That Tamagotchi.
The Tamagotchis.
Yes.
Yeah.
God, I killed every single one of them, but I loved it.
Tamagotchi. It was so hard. It was so hard. But like it's funny. Like as soon as we transition from going from playing outside all the time, and then moving into these little like Furbies and Tamagotchi and these things that you have to take care of, and then you miss it one time,
and gone.
And it's gone.
That's it.
It's sad. I'll take a moment of silence for Tamagotchis. Yeah. So I want to wrap up by giving you a chance. I appreciate hearing all about just the little pieces of you. I know we got to talk about a little bit about you, a little bit about business, but there's so many times that we live by quotes or someone said or someone instilled something in you. And I want to know, are there any quotes or mantras that you live by that you absolutely like you want to share? And then the second part of this is if you could say anything to especially a young woman wanting to achieve, wanting to be a business owner at the level that you're playing at, what would you say to them?
Wow, that's a deep question, Daniel, to end on, huh? Quotes, I can't remember the exact words, but there is a certain quote that I hold pretty near and dear to my heart, and the gist of it is basically if you're in a situation that you can't change around you, it's up to you to change yourself. Meaning that if you're at a point in your life that there are things going on that you have to accept that they are going to be what they're going to be. Now what you can do is judge your reaction to it, and what you do with your own time and your own self. And that sometimes means walking away from difficult situations. And as somebody that does not quit very often about anything, sometimes I have to learn, I've had to learn when to walk away, when it was time to walk away. So that's definitely a life lesson that I feel like took me years to figure out. And what I would say to a young woman, especially, wanting to start out, I literally just had this conversation with someone yesterday. People are going to spend a lot of time telling you what you can't do. Ignore them. Because ultimately that is completely up to the level of effort that you're willing to put in. And that is something that only you can decide what you want your future to look like. You're going to get a ton of people trying to push you in certain directions and tell you this is the way it ought to be, or this isn't what, a woman should do or can do, or, and whatnot. But ultimately you're in charge of your own life and you're in charge of what your future looks like. So seize the day and just do it.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for spending time. It is great to hear your underdog story. And thank you guys for watching and listening. And we'll see you next time. And remember,
thanks, guys.
Love wins, period.
Absolutely.